everyone, Erin here, and I'm here today with my BookTube-a-Thon 2015 reads. These are just the books that I plan on reading during this year's BookTube-a-Thon. I participated in the BookTube-a-Thon last year, however I did not do very well, so hopefully this year will go a lot better. I decided to pick one book per challenge, that way it kind of motivates me to read 7 books and to complete all of the challenges. So I will not be putting one book for maybe 2 challenges, there's just one individual book per challenge. So these are the 7 books that I do plan on reading for this year's BookTube-a-Thon. The first challenge is to read a book with blue on the cover, and for this I have decided to pick up True Ghosts by Andrew Hogman. They are just true life paranormal experiences. This book has 12 different short stories, and so for this challenge I've decided to read half of those short stories to kind of count as one full book to complete this challenge. Since each short story could technically be counted as its own book, I've decided to read the first 6 of them, which comes out to be 150 pages, and that kind of just equals like a very short book, like a novella or something, so we're going to count that as counting as a whole book to complete this challenge. It might technically be counting as cheating, but I figured 150 pages, that's like a book, so it can count. It can count as it, whether or not it does or not. The second challenge is to read a book by an author who shares the same last name as you, and for me that happens to be an M. Right before I heard about the challenges for the BookTube-a-Thon, I was going to purchase a book by Gretchen McNeil, which my last name happens to be McNeil. So once the challenges did come out, I was kind of upset that I didn't purchase that book because I thought it would be funny if I read a book by an author who had the same exact last name as me. Since that didn't end up happening, I picked up the only book on my shelf with an author who shares the first letter of their last name that I have not read yet, and that happened to be Day 21, which is the second book in the 100 series by Cass Morgan. I'm a huge fan of this TV show. It's one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I'm not a huge fan of the books. Didn't love the first book. I enjoyed it. It's not the same as the TV show, but I did fly through it, so I figured the second book I probably will be able to fly through also, and so it will work quite well for a readathon. The third challenge is to read someone else's favorite book, and for this one I also had a little bit trouble finding a book because for me I don't have a lot of friends who are avid readers, and when they do read they always come to me for book recommendations, so my favorite books end up becoming their favorite books, so I didn't really know what book to pick for this one. However, I do remember one friend telling me about a book that she really enjoyed and that I should pick up, and that happened to be The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This might not technically be her favorite book, but since she recommended it to me and I probably wouldn't have had any really big interest in reading it if she didn't recommend it to me, then we're going to count this as being her favorite book. The fourth challenge is to read the last book that you acquired, and for me, again, I buy all my books in bulk, so there was a lot of books I could have chosen from. However, there was one book I specifically remember that I bought a day after I'd purchased all those at a used bookstore, and that happened to be I Was Here by Gail Forman, and this is another contemporary, so I feel like this will be a quite easy one to read during the BookTube-a-Thon since I happen to fly through contemporaries a lot faster than any other genre. So it was a lucky thing that this would happen to be the last book that I did acquire. The fifth challenge is to read a book without setting it down. For this challenge I decided to choose Mouse by Art Spiegelman. This is a graphic novel, so I should be able to fly through this one very easily. I wanted to read this one for so long, and it's much anticipated, so I should be able to just read it very easily, and it should just be one that I can fly through in just a couple hours. The sixth challenge is to read a book that you really want to read, and for me, since I bought a ton of new books, those could all be considered books that I really want to read. However, looking at my shelf, there were 2 books specifically that I want to read more than the other, and one of those happened to be A Dark and Twisted Tide by Sharon Bolton, and if you know anything about me, this is my absolute favorite series. This is the 4th book in the Lacey Flint novels, and if you have never heard about this series, please go check it out because it is just so fantastic, and I have no one to talk to about with it, and it's just fantastic, and please just go check it out. It's so good. However, no matter how much I want to read this one, it is a quite large book. The print is very small and it's just a larger book, and her writing is very detailed, and there's always a lot to remember and process and try to understand, and so it's just probably not a very good book to read during the BookTube-a-Thon. So if I don't get through this one, I have decided to count Mouse by Art Spiegelman, because this is the second book that I really want to read. I've been wanting to read it for so long, to be able to count this one to complete this challenge. So I am throwing in A Dark and Twisted Tide, so if I do get to it, then fantastic. If I don't, then at least I could check off this challenge with a different book. The 7th and final challenge is to just read 7 books, and for this one I just decided to throw in Shattered Souls by Mary Lindsay. This is a book that's been on my shelf for almost 2 years, which physically pains me because I never allow a book to sit that long on my shelf without being read, and this just happens to be one of those books that I do have on my shelf that's been there for some time, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to possibly finally read this book. This is another kind of contemporary book with some paranormal and some psychological aspects. This is one that I could probably get through quite fast if it comes down to me reading a 7th book. So these are the 7 books that I have decided to read during this year's BookTube-a-Thon. I think it's a quite good crop, and I'm really excited to read all of them, so I hope I can read all 7, but we will see. My personal goal is just to read 5 books, but again, the overall goal is to read 7, and if I get through 7, then yes, which is quite unlikely, but we will try our best this year. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to post some kind of updates throughout the BookTube-a-Thon. There are daily challenges that you can participate in that are video format, so if I do decide to participate in any of those challenges, I will probably just throw in an update of kind of how I'm doing during the BookTube-a-Thon in that video. If not, I will just post a wrap-up video at the end of the BookTube-a-Thon. So these are the 7 books that I'll be focusing on for the next 7 days. I will be posting my July book haul and my July wrap-up here quite soon, so you guys can look forward to that. So if you are participating in the BookTube-a-Thon, you guys should let me know, because I love checking out the videos of what books you guys are planning on reading and how you guys are doing during the BookTube-a-Thon. And I just also want to say the good luck to you, and I hope you guys have an awesome week of reading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.